Salutations and welcome to Pod Mortem. I'm Reneé Hunter Vasquez, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, my husband, and my brother.
Hi, I'm John Paul Vasquez.
Hi, I'm Travis Hunter.
This week, we're recording live from Spruce's General Store discussing the 1987 horror classic Creepshow 2. Directed by Michael Gornick and written by George A. Romero based on stories by Stephen King, this is the second installment of the campy, creepy, and over-the-top Creepshow series. This time around, the effects and makeup are done by Ed French and a young 24-year-old Greg Nicotero. Although Tom Savini didn't do the effects for the film, we're still graced with his performance as the creep himself. What did you guys think of the film when you first saw it?
When I first saw it, I remember the raft. And thanks for the ride, lady.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
That's like a staple of the movie. It's like you remember that. You know, oh, that's Creepshow. Even if you don't say 2, it's still Creepshow.
Yeah.
I feel like the first one always stuck in my mind more as a kid. I don't really have a lot of memories of watching the second one as a kid.
I do.
If I'm honest. Really?
Not as much as the first one, but yeah, I do.
I mean, I don't know if it just didn't hit me the same way that the first one did.
Yeah.
I think that the stories, in my opinion, they didn't capture me, I guess, as much as a child. So having those old nostalgic memories for this one, not as much as the first one.
No, it's still super nostalgic for me. I'll say it's not as good as the first one.
See, I feel like I've watched the second one way more than I have the first.
That's
really
weird.
Yeah, so I like the second one a little more, which might be an unpopular opinion, but I like the second one more than I do the first one.
So how was it revisiting the second one recently?
I still like it.
Really?
I still and
Better.
yes.
Still.
Oh no, yeah, still. But I like the first one. Like you made the points of saying all of the ones in the first movie were revenge stories,
Basically.
Yes.
and they are pretty much in the second one as well. But I enjoyed, I guess, the stories in this one just a little more for some reason. Maybe it's because it was a shorter film and it didn't take as long. Like it wasn't just, trying to cram all these little stories into one.
Right.
But I do enjoy the second one more than I do the first one.
Definitely an unpopular opinion.
I think
That's all right. That's all right. I'll be the odd man out.
It's a very controversial statement.
They're going to come for you with pitchforks and torches.
One thing that was interesting to me, I don't know if you saw this, but is Michael Gornick, right? The director?
Right.
He was actually the director of photography for Creepshow, the original.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that. That is interesting.
And so I think, I don't want to say a matter of like disappointment or anything, but I will say that when talking about Creepshow 2, you have the director of photography from Creepshow, but I don't feel like there's that marriage there. This does not feel like the first film to me.
No, it doesn't. And even the integration of the animation with the live action,
Right,
it doesn't.
right. Yeah,
it
no.
doesn't have the same effect as the first film
the
did.
character guy talking to us
Yeah.
made it feel different. As to where in the first movie, it's just a story that moves along.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
then you
true.
see all the small stories. This time,
Well, he had his like
it's the creep, like, hello, kitties.
no,
and
literally
it's,
with Tales from the Crypt
Right,
style
right.
puns.
Yes,
No,
and-
honestly.
yes.
And I think the thing that bothers me about Creepshow 2 is that, okay, in the original Creepshow, the creep never speaks.
Yes,
No,
he does
yeah.
Now, he does have his little written blurbs that
Right.
you don't have enough time to read before each
No.
story.
it. Right.
But in the second one, the creep does speak. But my main issue is that the creep is terrible looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he looks like Peter Boyle. And I don't...
Well, you can tell, though, that it's like dubbed over. Like, he's not talking.
No.
It's
No.
like, yeah.
But
it's-
even the animated one,
yeah,
it's
the
like
animated
that's
one
what you
is
went
pretty-
with?
Yeah.
And
Because it was creepy as hell in the first movie.
absolutely.
Right,
and
right.
I know we'll get into it more, but I didn't like the animation at all.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and take a step back and then we'll get
Okay.
into it.
Now, before we shamelessly hit this film with our Mercedes, we'd like to issue a warning for spoilers. Podmortem is a very in-depth podcast, and in thoroughly discussing horror films, we have no choice but to spoil a thing or two. If you do not wish to be spoiled, please go watch this film, then come back and enjoy the show. If you've already seen the film or don't care about spoilers, let's get this creep show on the road. So we start in on a frame story. We're dropped in, and it's a gloomy day. There's a kid on the street on his bike waiting for, I guess, the comic book truck to come and deliver the comic books.
It looks like a newspaper truck, but
It
he's
does
throwing
look like a
comic
newspaper
books.
truck, but it's not comic. It's comic books inside. The truck pulls up. The license plate says "Creep," and the creep is just laughing his ass off inside.
I did not catch the license
The
plate.
license plate
It's
says
also
"Creep."
on the nose,
a
right?
Maine license plate, and it says Vacation Land underneath it.
Hey,
That's interesting.
I mean, of course, it's a Maine license plate.
Yeah,
Right.
it has to be.
So, the creep is laughing. He jumps out, starts throwing the comic books out. He kind of gives a little magic wave, and everything turns animated. It's all comic book style. Again, as we stated, not the same comic book style as
Right.
Creepshow proper.
But I do
Right.
want to point out that it's the kid from the end of the first movie on the comic books.
Yes.
Yes.
On the cover.
And the little bubbles are stories from the first movie
yes,
on the
I noticed that as well. It's small Joe Hill going ham on the
On the-
voodoo doll.
yeah.
On the cover of the comic. So anyway, everything turns animated. The packaging wrapping up the comic books turns into bats and unwraps itself. The comic is presented. Of course, it's Creepshow. Joe Hill on the cover. The kid is stoked. He helps himself to the comic books. Suddenly, we're with the creep in his castle.
Yeah.
Can I ask
where-
about
where-
that? He was just on the street, and then suddenly we're
He's
in, a,
gone.
in a lair.
Yeah. We're in his castle, which I don't think any of us needed to know how
I
the
don't
creep lived.
know.
But
Right, what he's doing in there.
apparently it's a castle. He's giving his puns. He's introducing the film and feeding hunks of meat to a big-ass lizard.
Yeah, whatever the hell
I
that
don't know.
was.
He's got a pet gator for some reason. It literally makes no sense. And again, I'm going to keep comparing it to the first film.
Well, you have to.
The first creep was literally a puppet
yeah.
in a window.
right.
And I was like, I like this guy.
This live-action
But-
creep, like I said, is played by Tom Savini. But, fun fact, it was almost played by Nick Cage.
Nicolas Cage.
Nicholas
I
fucking
love
Cage.
Nicolas
I know you
Cage.
do. I thought you would like that.
And
That's great. I didn't know that.
1987 Nicolas Cage, which is
1987
very
Nick
interesting.
Cage. yes.
So it was good, Nick
Um,
Cage.
Oddly, it wasn't voiced by Tom Savini.
No, and it's
Yeah, you
pretty
can
obvious
tell.
that
You can
he's
tell.
mouthing
Hey,
the
I said I
lines.
like the stories. I didn't say I like the overall
You're like, it's
story.
not
Yeah.
perfect. Any more thoughts on the introduction to this frame story?
No, I mean the kid was happy to get his comic
The
from
kid
the
was
ugly
fucking
guy.
stoked.
But, I mean,
And like, why are we acting like this is a normal human that's handing out these comics?
yeah,
that
no
that kid
shit.
didn't
If
even look
somebody's
twice.
trying to throw me a newspaper or something that looks like that, I mean, what do you want? Yeah, what's happening?
I'm
Please
not
don't touch
taking-
me. Yeah,
Nothing from that dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I gotta say, honestly, I think the issue for me with the frame story is that, first of all, it doesn't make any sense because you have it, like we said, it begins on the street, he's throwing out those comics, and then suddenly he's in a lair,
Yes.
and then he becomes omniscient and he's talking to the viewer directly.
right,
Like,
yeah.
It
No,
just
there's no
No, yeah.
cohesiveness.
It doesn't work.
There's
And
no
then,
cohesiveness.
In contrast, the theme music is a little too playful in my book.
It's
Yeah,
quite
I
playful.
did notice that as well. I was
Yeah.
like, this music isn't as serious and
doesn't-
scary as the first one.
And
is.
it's
No.
not as impactful as the first one because the music
Yeah,
in the first
it
one you're
does.
like,
Yeah.
oh shit, like it's
No, you know something's going down.
exactly.
Oh, shit,
This
something
one
happened.
it's kind of just background music.
Yeah.
you
And I
know?
don't know why they couldn't just use the first music again.
That's
If it's
Yeah,
like, if
I
you're like,
don't-
we're
yeah,
doing a
it's-
series,
Yeah.
this is Creepshow
Right.
2.
to identify with it. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
you hear the music, you know it's Creepshow.
Exactly.
So the first installment to this film is Old Chief Woodenhead. This short stars George Kennedy as Ray Spruce and Holt McGallany as Sam Whitemoon. Holt McGallany also plays Agent Tench in Netflix's Mindhunter.
Oh, yeah.
And if you haven't watched that, finish this episode and then go watch that. The story begins with Ray Spruce having the time of his life, touching up a gigantic wooden Native American chief statue
Which I love, and I want one in front of our house when we go.
in front of his general store. He's treating it with the utmost respect.
Absolutely.
Another fun fact, the old Chief Woodenhead himself, which is the statue, was almost played by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
The statue.
The statue
I love that.
that
I
would
love it.
have ruined it for me.
Get
Would he
out
have
of here.
spoken?
Why?
I don't, he's a Native
He's
American
not-
chief.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I
he's
can't.
like, I'll be back. And then he just leaves. It's
I was
not-
like, how I don't understand how that was even almost a decision. But
Well, he's a big guy. I'm sure they wanted a giant statue-looking guy. He looks like a statue when he was younger.
Is that post Terminator? Schwarzenegger?
Terminator 1 came out in 1984. Good year. But it wasn't. But yes, it would have been before, right?
No, this was 87.
No, this is 87.
Oh,
So-
would have been after.
They might not have been able to get him.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Oh no!
Well, Terminator
How our
was
movie
a good
gonna go on?
thing.
It was, but okay, you're Terminator, and then you're
He
gonna
also
be a
did Predator
a
and
wooden
all that
statue.
stuff. I mean,
All right, nobody's disparaging 1980s Arnold Schwarzenegger. I just think
I
that
was. No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't.
very odd choice
Very.
for old Chief Woodenhead.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already got
Popular Native American actor Arnold
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger.
well,
So Ray's doing his thing, touching up this statue, and his wife comes out and is bitching at him about how they haven't made any profits in days. It's been 4 days since a cash payment, 4 weeks since anybody's used credit. Basically, let's close up the shop and move on.
right.
Can I
Well,
say
I mean-
some? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, well, there's Texaco across the street. It's a piece of shit, but
I did notice, and this kind of bothered me throughout. I don't know if it's just the way that George Romero writes, but how expository was this dialogue?
Incredibly
We've been
so.
here
Yeah,
for this long,
no,
and these
yeah.
are our current conditions. And if we do this, then this will not
But
be
in
good.
the past,
yeah.
Yeah.
but in the past, Martha. No, that's an excellent point. So Ray says, no, I'm not closing up. This town was always good to me. Now this town is in need. I'm going to be good to it. It's pretty heavily implied that he has been letting the people of this town kind of take shit as they need it
Right,
and not
right.
pay for it. So Benjamin White Moon comes up to the store. Martha is already on one this morning. She's already
which
pissed.
I'm glad
No,
that
yeah.
it was a real native that was
Yes,
hired.
for
to do-
once.
yeah,
The
that
only-
was to
yeah,
do
for
that.
once.
Absolutely.
So Benjamin White Moon tells him, look, we owe you money. He gives him a satchel of these precious, very important and sacred Native American jewels and says, you hang on to this. If we don't pay you in 2 years, they're yours. Ray doesn't want to take it. You know, Benjamin convinces him. Even Martha is touched.
Yeah,
and she's
she
like,
gets
"Shit,
nice
I-
real
yeah.
quick.
Yeah, I
She-
was wrong.
Yeah,
you know,
she's like, jewelry? Shit. Are you all right?
Yeah, you're all right, Ben.
Yeah.
So,
Ben, right? Can we call you Ben?
Yeah.
Benny.
Ben it is.
So they walk Benjamin out. He is leaving. He looks up at old Chief Woodenhead to tell him goodbye.
I have a lot to say about that.
Go ahead.
When he says goodbye, Chief Woodenhead, the statue,
He nods.
nods
Yeah,
at him.
he
Which
nods.
I
And
will be
he-
honest, I never even caught that. Out
Really?
of all the times I've seen it, I've never
No, he's
paid
like,
attention
all right.
Yeah.
that the statue was moving the whole time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then when I watched it again, I was like, he just moved.
Yes.
I was like, I was wondering why he was looking at him all crazy. I thought he was just like, do you understand me or something? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
No,
Like, he
and
had a
that's the
feeling.
thing is he clearly nods at him. He looks at him like, what the fuck? And
And-
then gets in his car and dips out.
In my mind, I was like, "Are you gonna warn Ray and Martha that
Yes.
this just happened, or are you just gonna?" And he doesn't react
No,
that strongly
he gives
at all.
him a look like, huh?
Interesting.
And then he leaves.
Oh, he came to life.
Good for him.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, it was very interesting. One thing I do want to say about Martha is she's played by the actress Dorothy Lamour. Mm-hmm. And I think I think she was born in like 1914, and she was around, like, the photos that are on her are like the golden era of Hollywood.
Wow.
So she's been around for a
Damn.
long time. And according to Internet Movie Database, this was actually her last film.
Wow.
wow.
But she didn't. It's not like she passed away in '87.
stopped.
She stopped, and she went on. She was a consultant for like musical theater shows.
Wow.
And then she passed away in, I believe, 1997. But she got her start. She was like a singer in like the 30s or 40s.
shit.
If I'm not
Maybe
mistaken.
I
after
didn't
this
even
one,
know
she's like,
that,
I'm
yeah.
done with this shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck
If,
this.
that, if
That's
that's
it.
what they're offering me,
You got
I'm out.
statues coming
guess-
alive.
I guess I
Fuck
retire.
that.
Yeah, don't blame her.
We got white guys in wigs.
Yeah,
and-
what are we doing here? And we'll get to that.
Yeah,
We'll get
that's-
there.
Yeah.
Jeez, those
All right.
guys.
So Ray and Martha walk out, watch Benjamin drive off, come back directly back into their store, and somehow there are 3 hooligans inside.
They've just, I don't know how they got in.
I don't know how the hell they got in
Yeah.
there. So we've got Sam Whitemoon, the leader, who is identified later as Benjamin's nephew.
This
and
is,
we
Holt.
Yeah, this is Agent Tench.
Yes.
And his little lackeys, his rich friend,
Yeah,
and
the
Fatso.
fat guy is disgusting.
Fun fact:
Absolutely disgusting.
the Fatso guy is Hal Holbrook's son.
From the crate.
From
in
the crate.
Creepshow.
Henry from the crate.
Oh wow, really?
His son, yes.
That's crazy.
His
Which-
hat says
wow.
bullshit.
His hat
did.
says bullshit.
Why?
Yeah. And
you-
he is disgusting.
It's
Yeah.
funny because I thought of JP when I saw that because you like hats.
Yeah.
And I was like, JP would never be caught dead
No,
wearing a
I-
hat
what
that said bullshit on it.
Well, at first I thought it said like bullseye or something, whatever. And then the more
Yeah.
I looked at it, I was like,
Nope.
it says bullshit. I was
Straight
like,
up.
What the hell?
I do not understand.
Yeah,
he
I
saw
didn't
that
get
in the
it
store and
either.
he's like,
Right.
that says fat
I'm
stuff.
gonna, yeah,
That's
that's
got
so
fat
That
fast.
is so me. So apparently the last time these hooligans were in the store, Ray kicked them out for stealing, and they're here to get their revenge. Sam robs the register. He turns a shotgun on Ray and Martha. He robs whatever Ray has on him and tells Martha to go to the back and get her purse. So while she's gone getting her purse, Sam becomes distracted by a photo machine,
Yes.
and goes on a monologue about how handsome he is, how beautiful his hair is,
Right.
how he's going to Hollywood, and this hair is going to get him laid
So this
and
is really
paid.
all about his
Laid
hair.
and
This
paid.
is
It
all
has
about his
nothing
hair.
to do with the town or the store. It's just his hair.
I did. There's a couple things about that for me. Number one, this is the worst setup for foreshadowing that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh,
What a
God.
geez,
I wonder what's gonna happen to his hair.
Yeah.
Will he make it to Hollywood? Tune in to find out.
Can Sam make it to Hollywood?
Another thing, I read this interview with Holt McCallany.
Really?
Yeah, it was on Nate Watches Cool Movies. It was a WordPress blog, but he
Okay.
interviewed Holt McCallany. He said that he auditioned for the role of a frat boy in Creepshow 2, and the producer said because of his facial structure and cheekbones, they're like, we want you to play Sam Whitemoon. And he's like, I'm a white Irish dude from New York. How the fuck am I going to play?
Yes.
And they're like, well, we'll do a wig and you'll have makeup. And he's like, but I have blue eyes. And he's like, yeah, you're half native. And he's like, all right. So then
And
he
he
did
still
it.
had blue eyes.
Yeah, he
still-
did. They didn't
looked
even
the
try it.
same. He just with the wig.
I guess context, but Evil Dead, they did those horrible, like painful context.
No,
I
they
heard
had
Yeah.
context.
they could have
Yeah.
given him some context.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting. He
It
didn't
was
even
odd.
audition for that
but
role.
he worked that role. He did the best he could
did
with
very
it.
well. Oddly shirtless with a jacket.
Yeah,
Don't quite
that was
understand.
And I noticed too, they're throwing tools in the bag. What are
For
you
what
taking? Yeah,
purpose?
why are you
I
stealing
don't-
tools? And then
I
I
feel
get
like
the
this
food.
was a very
You're
ill-conceived
taking
plan.
a trip to California, or wherever they were going, so you can become a star.
Yeah.
With his hair and whatever the fuck. But
That's
what
all
are
it
the
takes to
tools
become a
for?
star.
Just long hair.
obviously,
His long
yeah,
hair.
hair.
It took him 9 years to grow that
Which
shit.
did he calculate? He's like, all right, March.
From this
Yeah,
people.
right.
yeah.
Right, in 9 years, I'm gonna rob that store and I'm gonna shoot these people and go to
When my
California.
hair is
Paid and
long
paid.
enough.
Yeah, when
So Martha comes out with her purse. Sam has the gun on her and sends the rich boy out to get the car started. He tells Ray, all right, now one last thing. Give me them jewels, basically.
Yeah.
Ray's like, no, these are for your people. What are you talking about?
Right,
This
right.
is shameful, blah, blah, blah. So Fatso comes over and Ray and Fatso are wrestling over the satchel with the jewels in it that are apparently worth $10,000, according to Sam. And
How did they know that
I
precise
don't know.
figure?
well, the chief had told him when he dropped him off. He said, "There's about $10,000 worth of
Did he?
jewelry in
Okay.
here."
see, I didn't
But
catch that.
again,
catch
this
that.
is, you said this is what 86, 87?
87.
So how much is really? How far is $10,000 going to get three people? I mean, where are you going to get to? Because when you get to LA,
all he has to do is get to LA, and then he's just walking right in.
right?
Oh, yeah,
But
because-
once you get
Have
to
you
LA,
seen his hair?
where are you guys going to eat? Where are you guys going to stay? Where
Have
are
you
gonna...
seen his hair?
I
I
don't
mean, even
think-
the story he gave, he's like, it was a movie. movie. I don't think
What
that
are you
was a
talking
movie.
about?
No.
What the fuck are you saying? Wasn't that in the Bible or something?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know
What
why
are
he
you
was talking
saying?
about
a movie? What?
that. The Spruces are like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
this? Just rob us and leave.
Yeah, right, just take get the tools and go.
Yeah,
Like,
get
what
the fuck
hell?
out of here.
So somehow in the midst of all this struggle, and it seems to be an accident, Sam shoots Martha. Martha's dead. So obviously Ray is very upset. He comes forward. Sam shoots Ray. Ray is dead.
Ray died very comically.
So did Martha.
Fair. Martha
they
had like
both did.
the pain etched on her face for 14 years. And then Ray he reached out because he was shot in the stomach.
Right.
He reaches out and then he puts his arm back down. And then it's like he forgot he was shot because he reaches out again and then keeps walking and then drops like a ton of bricks.
So they take the jewels. They dip out. Old Chief Woodenhead is outside. Pretty kind of almost moving freely at this point. Not really trying to hide that he's, I guess, alive. So Sam shoots up the store.
Yeah, which one of those bullets like explodes in a burst of flame,
Yeah.
like fire. What does he have in there?
He's
What
got
was it?
incendiary,
Yeah.
incendiary rounds. Yeah.
It was it was the one I can't remember what it was. One of the windows or something.
Yeah.
And then it was like fire came out.
Why
Like,
not?
What the fuck?
Fat Stuff and the Rich Kid are not on board at this point.
No, they are clearly
they look
disillusioned.
very.
They did not look pleased.
That was not part of the plan.
So they take off. Sam is basically like, get your shit ready. We're leaving tonight. I guess we hit the jackpot with these jewels, whatever. Back at the store, however, Old Chief Woodenhead is putting on his war paint. He's
He's ready.
pissed.
howling
Yeah,
at the
he's-
moon. He's getting ready to fuck some shit up.
Can we just say his war cry sounded like a gasp?
He's reanimating.
Yeah,
Right.
fair. I gotta
when
give
I
him that.
watched it, the kids go, "Why is he howling like a wolf?" And
Well-
I was like, he's angry.
Yeah.
I was like,
He's
upset.
very mad.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, though, I mean, the guy's robbing from his own people.
Yeah,
Yes.
he is.
So you would think maybe it's like the ancestors are coming, or he's there and he's seeing it, and he's like, "Really, this is what you're gonna do?"
Right.
You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? All right, now I'm mad. Oh,
So is-
he just fucking freaks out.
So
Yeah.
is the narrative then that he is just a living but docile statue up
know.
until this point?
I mean,
Because he
he was
just
alive
hanging
before
out.
that.
Yeah, he's like, now if somebody
no,
fucks
you're right.
up-
He did.
He
That's
was.
right. He moved. That's right. He
Yeah.
told the chief. He's like, "What's up?"
He did. So he goes after Rich Boy first. No, excuse me. He goes after Fatso first, who is disgustingly sitting at home just eating when he's supposed to be getting ready.
Ari
Yeah.
said she does not like the pictures on his wall.
No,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
She
See,
did.
I had a question about that. Why were they flashing to all that porn?
I don't know. They were just
Plus,
watching
he's
him.
alone. He lives alone. I thought they were.
I thought they were kids.
something. Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, and he
what
lives
the
in
hell
that
is going on?
trailer.
I don't know.
He's just there, all gross.
So disgusting.
Yeah.
So the chief takes him out with some arrows. He's gone. So he goes after Rich Boy who is actually, I guess, following through with Sam's plans.
Yeah, he
sneaking
was.
out. He goes to the garage and his car is destroyed. And we watch the shadows of him and the chief as he gets got with a tomahawk.
Can I say something about that?
Please.
When the Rich Kid and Fat Stuff are murdered, you don't really see the chief at all. Did they have that chief on rent? And they're like, we got
They had
one day with
24
the
hours.
chief. So we're going to just do shadows for these two, and then we'll
Right.
save him for the
We're
real
gonna
deal
save it.
later. And I don't know if I am the only one, but I felt the budget cut between Creepshow and Creepshow 2.
No,
It's
I
not
think you
as
can,
well
yeah,
made.
I think you
Like,
can tell.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah, you
clear.
can
That's
tell.
not, I mean, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And that was all very anticlimactic. Like,
Oh, yeah.
boom, boom, he's dead. Boom, boom, he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Then he goes to Sam. Sam tries to shoot him with that shotgun. He's fine.
Right.
As soon as he comes in, Sam goes, "You're not alive, man." Like,
Well, maybe he thought if he told her, it's like, "You're not real."
Yeah.
Fuck,
I'm
not
not.
real. I'm gonna go back to the store. I'm sorry to bother you.
My bad, dude.
It was just weird. I don't know. That's not my
the
reaction.
the whole thing's weird. So
Yeah.
I think we can all assume what he does to Sam. He scalps him and takes his
Right.
perfect hair.
Yeah, we didn't see that coming at all.
No,
No,
that was a surprise to everyone. So suddenly we're with Benjamin, who's waking up to the satchels that he gave Ray, the satchel of jewels that he gave Ray in the bed next to him. So he's confused. He goes out to the general store, sees the chief, who's back in his position,
Right.
holding Sam's scalp and
Right.
hair.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he knows, holy shit, that's my nephew.
Well,
His
Benjamin
hair,
doesn't
or-
even look surprised. He kind
No.
of gives him a "that'll do, pig" nod.
Yeah, well,
And says basically, "Rest easy."
Yeah.
He gets
well,
in
if
his
you
car.
knew your nephew was a little shit, you know what I mean? It's like, all
I
right.
mean, yeah, but wouldn't
He's-
you? I mean, we don't check on Ray or Martha.
No,
we
he didn't
don't-
go inside.
nothing.
Oh, you're right. He really
Yeah.
didn't.
Dips out
he
once
really
again.
Didn't. He just like, all right.
I just want to know how much he knows about this thing. Is this a spirit that he's aware of?
Right.
Because
Well,
he
because
says
he does
tells
tell
him
it to
to
rest.
rest.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, is this something that is known?
Right.
And the fact that he didn't freak out when he saw the statue move earlier. There's a lot
He
of
did.
questions
well,
I have for
yeah,
Benjamin.
no,
There's a
yeah,
lot-
maybe,
there's a lot of
maybe he was
questions.
like, okay, yep, you know, you're
Yeah.
here to watch over the store. You know what I mean? That's cool. You know what I mean? I'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
But this is someone. I mean, I think it's fair to say that he could tell that it was his nephew's hair. The way that
Right,
Sam
yeah.
boasted and fussed about his hair.
Did you notice that after Sam got scalped, he screamed for 15 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
It overlaid
played
the next
forever.
scene.
Yeah. Benjamin's driving to the store and it's just it's weird.
That absolutely is true. So, did we have any further thoughts on old Chief Woodenhead?
I would like one of those statues still.
Good security.
Yeah, I don't need to worry. I got the old chief
Do you want
outside.
the statue with the spirit
Yes.
inside?
Oh,
I
Okay.
will talk
Yes.
to him and I'll take care of him and
You'll-
I'll repaint him
Yes.
and when we're hanging out, it's fine.
And again, it's the same thing that happened with the other episodes. What happens next?
Yeah.
Because the police are going to have to investigate this.
Ray's dead. Martha's dead.
Yes.
All 3 kids are dead.
There's 5 bodies in one night in this town. There's a lot that needs to be solved here.
But Benjamin just drives off.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
But what did you think of it as a story?
I mean, it wasn't great.
I
I'm not
liked
trying to. I was like, I'm not trying to offend you.
I like it, but only because my dad's always tells me that told me that his grandparents were native.
So
And
you
it's
like
go-
it for representation.
Right.
You don't like it
right.
because it's good.
No,
Yeah.
I do like it. I feel like it was, like I said, I feel like it's the ancestors, you know what I mean? Or like the statue
No,
was
and
like, you know what? You fucked up.
I like
You
that
know what I
aspect
mean?
of it.
These
but
people took care of me. You come in here acting stupid. You make us look bad. I'm going to kill you and your friends.
no, I
you
get
know?
that. I just feel like there's a lot to
Well, no, there's a lot
overlook.
of bad.
Yeah,
but there,
to call it good.
But there was also
Yeah.
a lot of bad in the first one. So, I mean, I just kind of think you know what I mean, take it for what it is. Besides, these aren't like serious horror movies.
No,
they're
of course
No,
pretty,
not
they're
at all.
pretty,
Yeah.
They're pretty goofy and kind
Yeah.
of whatever. But like I said, to me, I like you. I guess you're right. It's more the representation than it is. But I still like it.
T.
It's a very simple story.
It is.
I feel like the writing's just not great. And I don't
Yeah, no.
there's 2 things that I really wanted to say about it. Number 1, and I keep going back to the first one because every single time there's a sequel to any movie ever, it's going to be compared to
It's
the original.
asking to
Right,
be compared
right,
to
right.
the original.
Why, whenever they shot Ray and Martha, why didn't the lights go red? Why didn't, they didn't have the cool lighting?
No,
the
yeah, you're
interesting-
right. They
No,
didn't.
all
do
of
any
that is missing.
All of that stuff would have been cool, and it would have made it feel more like
Tied it
Creepshow.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, that was lacking. And again, the writing was very expository. Fat Stuff is the worst character
Disgusting.
in the history of
Yes,
film. I can't watch him. I mean, not to say that the characters in the original Creepshow were like very
Fleshed
had
out.
depth,
Yeah.
But I just feel like I don't know.
It didn't feel like it went with the series, right?
Not
Or-
really.
It just didn't feel right. If they would have done some stylistic things, they could have made it feel more like Creepshow. And that's kind of a problem I have as we continue.
Even with the same stories, they could have just
100%.
used that to tie it in. But
Yeah, but they just didn't.
yeah,
And
for
I don't
whatever
know why.
reason, I wonder why. Especially if you say that he worked on the first film.
Yeah, it made no sense to me.
Very odd. So back to the film. Now we're back to the frame story. Billy is still in comic book form. He's at the post office paying $9.99 for a package.
Right, for some fucking plants.
For
Yeah.
Venus flytrap bulbs.
And it's November, as the clock states inside the post office.
So
Shouldn't
there's-
it be cold? And why is he
It should
planting
be.
plants in November?
Well,
is that
well-
like...
Well, there's another.
We'll talk more
part
about
of
that later.
I want to say the animation is gross.
It's not great.
And it's not even, I don't know what it is, but it's just off-putting to me. The way their mouths move as they talk, the way their heads, okay, here's the thing that I don't know if it's accurate for all animation, but maybe of this time period, they would put the parts that they would move that needed animating on top of stuff that wasn't, right?
Right.
So his
Yeah.
head is a different color from his
Yes.
neck.
I
because
did notice that,
Yeah.
too.
They were animating his face as he talked, and it just looks bad. I don't know if that was a specific style they were going for, but I did not like it.
No, I didn't like it either. It's more I don't know, cartoony than the art in the first one. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it does. It is different.
Yeah.
You can tell it's different.
And it's not as good.
No.
No, it's not.
And then the creep pops up there,
Yeah.
and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's weird." Anyway, fucking here's the next. I'm like, "What is this?"
I
And
think
just
they were
puns
going for
on
a...
puns, and I
Yeah.
love puns, but
They
Not
went
like
for a
this.
different approach.
it,
and it
a
was,
very like a more playful, like
Swing and a miss.
yeah, agreed. But that brings us to the next story, which is called The Raft. It stars Paul Satterfield as Deke, Jeremy Green as Laverne, Daniel Beer as Randy, and Paige Hanna as Rachel.
Interesting.
Yes.
Paige Hanna is Daryl Hannah's sister.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
And she's in this for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, so that's interesting
That
though. I didn't know
aside.
that. Yeah. So it starts with the four of them driving to a lake. I guess their big goal for the day is to swim out to a raft in the middle
go
of the
swimming.
lake.
Yeah.
Not even to go swimming.
No,
they keep
they-
talking about the raft. Are you sure it's still there? Did you see it there? Is it still there?
Can I ask what's so cool about this raft that
I
they
don't.
need to
They're
go
like
see it?
really stoked about it.
I don't know, but the scenery was beautiful when they got
Oh,
there.
It was.
It
Yeah,
looked
it looked
really
great.
good.
It was.
I will say that the music playing in the car sounded like a Pepsi commercial from the 80s.
Generic
Yeah.
rock
It
It
was.
was bad.
It
Yes.
was.
So they're heading over there. They're in the car. They're rocking out to their generic Pepsi music. They're smoking out.
Like, pass the joint.
yeah.
yeah, they're getting, yeah.
We've clearly got our archetypes here. Deke is the jock. He's literally wearing a football uniform.
Right, yes.
His girlfriend, I'm presuming Laverne, is the hot girl. Randy clearly likes Laverne, but I think he's with Rachel
Yeah,
because
I
she
thought they were dating.
yeah,
I-
she doesn't seem happy about it. But so they drive out to the lake. They make it. They go to swim out to the raft. The guys jump in the water, and the water is freezing. The actor that plays Randy almost died from hypothermia
Like, for real?
in real life.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah,
God
Damn.
from
Good
filming
Lord.
this because they said that his body was green because he was so cold.
Well, didn't he say something in that scene about
It's
your
cold,
heart? Yeah,
yeah.
he's like, well, no, he's like, your heart could stop if you jump in there. And
This this is not a film worth dying for.
no,
Let's just put
yeah,
that-
no,
yeah.
of course not.
So the guys jump in. It's freezing cold. The raft is still there in the middle of the lake. So Deke takes off. Randy goes after him. They have to kind of coax the girls to get into the water and come out to the raft.
Why was Randy narrating the whole thing? It's cold. It's too cold to get laid.
Yeah.
It's come on,
He
Randy.
does.
Come on.
I
Like, what the
wondered
fuck
that
is
too.
this?
I-
Why are you doing this?
We all narrate our own story. Okay?
I guess.
I
And I mean, it wasn't concrete that Randy and Rachel were dating, but like if they weren't, and he was trying to sleep with her, like later on, she hears him talking.
Yeah.
Too cold to get. What the fuck are you talking
Yeah,
about?
right?
You're
He
trying.
say
He
To,
that
wasn't
out
that far
loud?
from
no,
them. yeah.
they were still on the beach.
Right,
It was
you
just
think
really,
I'm gonna fuck you?
Yeah.
What's happening here?
This is unbelievable.
Right,
You
we
invited
came
me.
to swim.
I just came to enjoy the raft.
This raft is supposed to be amazing.
Exactly.
So right before Randy makes it onto the raft, he sees this thing kind of floating on top of the water. When I was a kid, I thought it looked like a bunch of melted trash bags.
Yes.
Yes.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Why didn't he say anything? Because he clearly sees it.
Well,
Yeah,
he
and he's
sees it.
scared of it.
Yes, he
immediately.
sees it. Oh, and then the duck's getting eaten.
Yeah.
Yeah, the duck.
Yeah.
There's a duck getting. Why wouldn't you say, "What the fuck is that
Yeah.
thing eating a duck? What is that? Oh my
He
god,
sees
look
it.
over there!"
Everybody.
Yeah,
He
right.
sees it.
Everybody,
He's-
stop! What is that?
He's uneasy and he's telling the girrs, "Hurry up, get on the raft." Like he's
Okay, well,
he's
better
uncomfortable.
reason to say,
There's
"Oh my
something in
god,
the
something's
water!"
eating
Yes.
this fucking duck."
So,
Swim faster.
Yes.
So Rachel makes it onto the boat.
It's like he doesn't want to ruin the good time.
I'm
everyone,
not
guys.
gonna- I'm
Real
really
quick.
not going to get laid
It
now.
would be super cash money if you got on this raft. So Rachel gets on. Laverne is taking her sweet ass time, and Randy is freaking out, saying, "Hurry
Yes,
up!"
the slowest
Taking
swimming
forever.
ever. Yes.
So she barely makes it up on the raft in time before this trash bag mass touches her.
Yeah.
Right.
Randy is noticeably unnerved, confused. Deke pulls out. He's wearing tiny yellow Speedos almost.
Yeah.
And he somehow pulls out 2 joints and they start smoking him.
Now here's
They were
the-
just swimming.
They were
no, but
swimming.
here's the thing, because I always thought that too. I was like, where did this dude get matches or a lighter or something that didn't get wet?
Yeah.
How did the
He's
joints
got
not get wet?
Yeah, okay. If you notice, and I, of course, we watch it in depth because we want to talk about it and we take notes and whatever. He puts them in a bag and ties them to the side of his
Does he?
trunks.
See, I didn't even catch that.
I never caught that, and I always thought the same thing as a kid because, I mean, we all knew what drugs were, well,
Right.
for the most part. So I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, how does this guy get these drugs over there? And he's,
I've
they're
been
dry.
dinging this movie for that since I was a child, so I
Right,
guess I
so-
better
so-
apologize.
So
We just
am
weren't
I.
paying attention.
But if you notice, he does tie a bag with, you see the lighter in there to the side of his trunks. And when he gets to the raft, he
takes it
opens the
out.
bag.
Yeah.
So
Alright.
I always thought that too. I was like, where did he hide this at that it's not wet and
I
the
mean,
lighter
he's
works?
almost naked.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can. There's not much to the imagination.
No.
Not at
but
all.
But I guess he came prepared, so
I
go,
guess,
go Deke.
yeah.
So they start smoking. Randy is still, freaking out. Rachel sits at the edge of the raft. This thing is floating towards the raft, and she just reaches out and touches it.
Can I was very confused because at this point, to their minds, they're like, "Oh, it's an oil slick."
Yes,
well, even
they
if
call
it's
it
an
an
oil
oil
slick,
slick.
why the fuck would you touch
Don't
it?
touch it.
It literally
Yeah.
makes no
They
sense.
keep asking the one guy, "What is it? What is it?" Like,
Yeah.
and he's like,
Oh,
"I don't
I
know what
don't
the
know."
fuck." Yeah, and they
He-
ask him too, and they're like, "Didn't you, help out whatever last time with an oil slick or whatever?"
Yeah.
The girl gives the story about how they went to wherever the fuck and helped whatever, and he's like, "It's not an oil slick I've ever seen. It didn't look like that."
It's not
Yeah.
a fucking oil slick.
But yet they keep asking him, "What do we do? What is it?" He just told you he doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
You're the expert on oil slicks.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
It
Please.
made-
Please,
no
Professor
sense.
Oil Slick, Department of Oil Slicks.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Rachel reaches out and touches this thing, and it's not an oil slick.
Plot twist.
Plot twist, it latches itself basically to her arm, and her skin just starts melting off.
It looks good.
It looks great.
That
The
looked
effects
very
in this
good.
one are really good. It reaches up and grabs her head. At this,
Yeah.
I guess they're on this small raft in the middle of the lake. Somehow Deke and Laverne are so immersed
That-
in smoking out that they don't even see this happening
Nope.
until Rachel is pulled into the water.
Right.
She pops back up to the surface and she's gone. She's dead. It's dead.
Yeah, that's the end of her. Can I, about her popping up, first of all, physically, how did she do that? Second of all, why would the blob creature do that? Is he like, "I got your girl, Randy"?
Right.
Like, why is he
What
showing
are you
her
gonna
off?
do about it, Seth?
He already got her.
He challenged
so
him
why
to
is
a
he
duel.
like, yeah,
Yes.
Also,
Why?
she's saying it hurts, and then she dies.
yeah,
Right.
which
Right.
I guess those are decent last words.
Fair. So, Laverne starts freaking out. Deke tells her to shut up or he's gonna smoke her.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, so he's abusive.
Right.
No, he's gonna beat her ass because she's a little upset because their friend just got eaten by
Yes, and we
this
all saw it.
unknown oil slick.
He's
trash
making it
bag
like
monster.
nothing happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Or maybe he's like, I if you start freaking out, I'm gonna start freaking out.
Right.
Not gonna get anything
So
done.
they hypothesize that maybe
You're ruining my high.
they hypothesize that maybe the thing is now full from eating Rachel, and they can kind of make a run for it or make a swim for it, as
Right.
it were.
But they're swimming so slow. What are they?
It's
Yeah,
so
they
bad.
were all swimming quite slow.
Why did he keep calling Randy Poncho?
I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either.
It was
I
very
kinda
odd.
confused
Racist?
A
about
little
all
bit,
that.
but Randy was so white.
Quite white.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a story we don't know.
And we never get to know.
And I don't want to know it.
Yeah. Deke says that he's the fastest one out of all of them. He can take off. Laverne is like, no. He's like, no, I'm going. So as he's preparing to jump into the water and try to swim to the shore before this full monster gets him, it reaches up and grabs his foot from in between the boards of the raft. And his foot starts melting off, just like Rachel's arm
Well,
did.
maybe he heard
Yeah.
him. Maybe the
He's
bag
like, "Oh,
monster
hell
was like,
no."
"Oh, you're the fastest.
Let's find
Try
out.
to take you out first."
Put it to the test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Randy tries to help. He tries to pull him, but there's no
he
use.
folds
No.
that guy in
He
half.
folds him in half.
They put way more effort into trying to save Deke than they did
They
Rachel.
did.
Rachel, they're like, oh well, shit. I guess that's just what happens to Rachel.
But she
Oh,
was
no,
already in
not
the water,
Rachel.
though.
Fair,
I mean,
fair.
I'm not jumping in on top
No.
of that thing trying to punch it. You know what I mean?
She's already been blobbed. I'm not trying to get involved.
Blobbed. So
Whenever it pulls Deke, like you said, it kind of sandwiches him.
It does.
Looks good.
It looks
I
really
will
good.
say, but for some reason they give a shot of his class ring.
You know
sliding
what?
off.
I-
I
Behind
noticed
is his
that
class
too.
ring.
How
Yeah.
does it pull his? How does his hand going through the beams of wood? But he just broke through it and he
I
got
don't-
pulled through.
I don't know.
Damn,
He
that's a
should
good
be going
question.
through
Yeah,
the hole.
So-
yeah. He should
Yeah.
have went through the
that is
hole.
And
logistically
they,
flawed.
they zoom in on his class ring like it's going to be important later.
It's not.
No,
No,
it never
yeah.
comes up again. It's not like, and there goes
Right.
Deke,
Oh, he did.
class of
Yeah.
87.
Right. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
So Deke's gone. Rachel's gone. Suddenly it's nighttime and they decide to take turns keeping watch. They have to stand perfectly on the boards. If they go where the board is not there, that thing can reach up and
And
grab it.
mind you,
apparently.
the radio was on during the
I want
day.
to know where Deke got his goddamn car battery.
Well,
Because that's
at
the new
night-
hotness.
That is
At
the new
night,
hotness.
though, the radio was off. There was no music.
What?
As soon as the day came back,
The music was
the
bumping
music
again.
was back.
The Blob turned it on.
Right.
He's like, ooh, I like that Pepsi
yeah,
song.
Right. It's like,
Catch
hold
the
on,
Pepsi
I need
spirit.
something to listen to while I snack. I was like, oh.
So they get through the night. It's morning again. The music is playing. They're standing there still trying not to be on any space on the raft.
Right,
Laverne
right.
is asleep. So Randy
Oh,
lays her
God,
down
yeah.
onto the
Oh,
raft.
sweet Lord.
And what has to be the worst scene of the movie, Randy decides to engage in a little casual sexual assault.
Yeah, and let me tell you something, Nick.
Yes.
That Peter Boyle looking motherfucker between the things may call himself the creep, but Randy is the real
the true
creep,
creep.
in this picture.
Yes.
What? It literally makes no sense that this happens.
No. And can I say that it doesn't make us root for Randy
No,
to get out
why?
of this situation
I'm like,
anymore.
I'm team fucking Blob now.
Yeah,
Right.
get his ass.
I never,
we're-
yeah.
We're
Yeah.
gonna die. Let's just fuck it. I'm gonna.
But
I'm
can
gonna
she at
do-
least be awake?
No, I'm saying.
and
I'm,
agree to
I'm saying in his mind, he's like, we're gonna die. Fuck it.
That's not how that works.
Still,
No.
well, I mean, apparently, if you're on a raft and there's a blob around you, it's the
I
implication.
don't like these raft rules. The
I don't-
It's the
implication.
implication.
Not the
That's, what is pretty creepy though.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
It's horrible.
That's not gonna be my first thing. Is you're asleep. Let me lick on your nipples. It's,
Well, because you're not a creep.
Plus,
Randy
though,
is.
Yes.
Why did he wait so long when it grabbed her? You know what I mean?
No, he
and
did.
that's-
He
that's-
just stares
That's
at
what
it.
happens next.
Yeah, so she is laying on the raft where he laid her down on the raft unconsentingly, and the blob, as it were, reaches in between the boards and grabs Laverne's face. So she wakes up and she's blob face.
Also, the effects look very good. Her
Yeah.
cheek,
Oh,
like,
yeah, that
pulsates,
looks
real good.
and it looks very good.
No, that
So
does
she
look
is
good.
screaming. It's got her face, and Randy does just kind of stand there like, what?
And he's like, oh, well, maybe he came back to himself and he's like, I'm a fucking
What was I
monster.
doing?
The blob is, I'm the
Right.
monster.
Thank you for stopping me, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
I
like,
was gonna
'cause
do something that was gonna be
fucking-
really bad.
I'm the worst person on earth.
The real monster was Randy all
Yeah.
along.
That's, yeah.
So the blob starts pulling her off of the raft, and Randy is basically like, fuck it. I'm going for it. So
And then he swims the slowest
Oh,
stroke
That
that's
anyone
I've
has
ever
ever
seen.
seen. That
That's
anyone's
what
ever
I'm
seen.
saying.
That's not how a person
God
swims for their
damn.
life. Let
Like
me put
every
that.
shot, they're just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, dude, are you doggy paddling or what are you
Yeah.
doing?
Meanwhile,
It's
the
like-
blob is like, "Oh hell no!" and comes after him.
Absolutely.
So it's a race to the shore. Randy barely, like literally, barely makes it onto the shore. Turns around and decides it's time to rest and boast.
Yeah. I beat you or
I
whatever
beat
he
you,
says.
he says. He didn't.
But why stop? Why wouldn't you get up
No,
and keep running?
barely onto the shore.
Yeah,
Barely out
yeah.
of the water.
Can I just say, again, at this point, I'm Team Blob. I'm like, yeah, gloat.
Get his
yeah,
ass.
you.
No,
yeah.
just fuck
Yeah,
him out. Just
exactly.
kill him. That's
So,
all right.
and it does. It leaps up and
Like a wave.
like a wave and gets Randy. So Randy's done. The last shot is
The music playing.
Pepsi music, still going hard, and we pan over to the foliage is overgrown, and there's a sign that the kids didn't see that says "No swimming."
Now, this is where I have questions. Was the blob placed there to keep people from swimming? Because the guy that owns the land was like, I'm sick of these damn kids trying to get on this amazing raft.
This is my
So
raft.
they don't care about my sign. I'm getting a blob that eats children.
So
or was
where
the
did-
Children.
sign?
They were college students.
Was the
yeah.
Did he order the blob from the Creepshow magazine?
Maybe.
Oh, you
that's
said
a,
the
that's a
wave
good
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
So what do we think about the raft?
I gotta be honest, man. The effects in the raft are the best effects in the film.
Yeah.
However, the story completely gets ruined when Randy decides to get handsy. It's
That was-
story shatteringly
It's so bad.
That was something too that when I was watching it, I was like, dude, that's
That's not cool.
Yeah,
And I wonder if it was a thing of, oh, we need a little more sex, because you do see boobs in the third story as well.
You do.
But maybe it could have been like, oh, we might die out here. Let's just, I mean, it could have been consensual.
This dude's just a creep.
Yes.
If we need
If
the
you
nudity,
needed to add,
then
yeah.
let's at least make it
Right.
Yeah.
consensual.
No,
it's just
it was-
insanity.
and very left field, because it's kind of presented that Randy is the good guy, like
Yes.
the smart one, the good one.
So and then not that the character, again, it was not a fleshed out character. But then you
No.
betray the character that you tried
Right.
to set up.
Yeah.
It just boggles the mind.
And we don't care if he dies now. We want him to die now.
Yeah, I
hey.
got my Team
but that
Blob
car
t-shirt.
battery was still going strong.
I wanna
Oh
know
yeah,
where he
I
got
want to
it.
know what brand that is.
I mean, I just want to know because they obviously didn't leave the car on, just the radio.
Yeah.
And the door open. So we're left to
All
believe
the doors
maybe if there's
open.
Uh-huh.
a light inside, it's going to stay on too.
And can I say real quick, why would they do that in the first place? Even if they didn't know they were never coming back?
Yeah, no,
Like,
shit,
why?
Yeah.
It made no sense.
You couldn't even hear it out
No,
there.
on the raft.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
raft was pretty
It
far
was
out.
Yeah.
far. Was it good?
I think Randy ruins it.
Randy ruined
ruins it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say I give him a pass, but
No.
I think it did bring down the value of the little story.
You're ruining
And
our
it-
property
yeah,
value,
it's
Randy.
Like, come on, man, everything was so cool. You
Yeah.
guys were potheads,
Why'd
and you
you
were
have
out
to
there.
do
and you-
that?
It's like then you had to take advantage of this girl while she's asleep. You know, it's at least hey, give her a little
And
nudge
then-
and hey, I'm gonna touch you
Not-
or something.
And then if
no.
she's like, no, and you're like, I respect
Yeah,
that, and I
it's
will
like,
not
okay,
touch you
I will go to
anymore.
the other side of this
all
room.
right, all right, never
Not
mind.
only that, but him laying her down to take advantage of her is what killed her.
Yeah, and
Yes,
he,
no,
That is
yeah.
what got her killed.
And he even said, if you stand on the beams, it's
told
not
her.
gonna get you, but it did.
that's even worse. He's like,
Yes.
I don't give a shit.
All right.
I'm getting mine.
And then
I'm
when it
getting some
happened,
titty
he was
before we
like,
die.
ah, shit. Well, better run for it.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
fuck
Sorry,
you,
bitch.
Randy.
It's stage
Just
left.
takes
Yeah.
off.
Fuck Randy.
Yeah, I think that's the come away. That's the takeaway.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Fuck Randy.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're back at the frame story. Billy is riding his bike and is hassled by some bullies. The main bully steps on his bulb that he just bought, the Venus flytrap bulb, and Billy kicks
Rosie
him in
O'Donnell.
the right.
I thought he looked like Boo from Orange Is the New Black.
Yes, there you go. Yes, yeah.
The haircut.
Something. The dude's wearing spurs when
He
he's
was
riding
wearing
his bike.
spurs,
Come
yes.
on.
These like 80s street toughs.
So Billy kicks him in the nuts and breaks out.
Right.
And
His friends are annoying too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing is annoying.
It's bad.
It looks bad, sounds bad.
it is bad.
I can't.
It's bad. Which brings us to the next and last story.
Just 3 this time around.
Just 3 instead of the 5.
I do want to add, though, the
Yes.
line, I want his ass.
Yes, I laughed out loud.
What the fuck was that?
Do you not
He said-
remember
I didn't
that?
hear that.
He
After
does.
he
He
kicks-
tells his cronies.
He
yeah.
kicks him in the nuts and takes off, and the main bully goes, I want his ass.
It's like, what is happening here?
Wow.
And
This
it's
is-
like you.
That's where the
I'm
bullying
getting
comes
mixed
from. He's just
signals
sexually
here.
confused. Just let him express
right.
himself.
Why? And
Give me that
then
leg, boy. It's like, what is happening here?
the story could have had a better ending.
It could
Yeah,
have had a
right.
much better.
But we'll get to
ending.
that in a minute.
We will. Right now, we're talking about the final story, The Hitchhiker. It stars Lois Childs as Mrs. Annie Lansing and Tom Wright as the titular hitchhiker.
Tom Wright is Mr. Morgan from Seinfeld. He worked with George at the
Get
Yankees.
The
Yes.
fuck out of here.
The one that he confused with
Yeah.
Sugar Ray Leonard. He's the
The
hitchhiker.
one who he didn't wake up?
What
Yes.
the
Oh
hell?
my God.
Yes. He's the hitchhiker.
Hilarious. All right, so the story opens. A couple is asleep in bed. We quickly find out that they're not a couple. The woman is Mrs. Lansing, and the man is not Mr. Lansing. She's cheating on her husband. The man is a sex worker who is basically lamenting his low prices. That he has
$150
Yeah.
for 6
for
orgasms.
6 orgasms.
He's
that-
like, what I have to do.
Yeah.
Right.
So she gives him extra money, which is her husband's money. But his alarm clock, his newfangled digital alarm
Right,
clock,
right.
has
Yeah.
gone out while they were asleep. And she has, 15 minutes to get home to beat her husband home. He's always home at 11:30. Always. He's never late. He's a lawyer, whatever.
Now, she kisses him on the mouth.
She does.
That's not customary from what I've
You
been led
saw
to believe by popular
Julia-
media.
Julia
from what
Roberts
Julia
was-
Roberts told me personally. I interviewed her. She said, that's not customary.
Oh, an Easter egg there. Stephen King's It is
Yes.
sitting on the shelf above the bed.
The cool thing about that is it, I believe, came out in 1986. This came out in
Oh,
1987.
so it's a new
So it was his
book.
newest book at the time.
That's really cool. So she leaves. She's going to be late. By the time she gets in the car, I think she has 20 miles to go and 7 minutes to make it.
Right.
So
And she's talking a lot to herself.
She's talking a lot to
Yeah.
herself. She monologues for the majority of this.
Well, she's giving herself
Story.
a pep talk.
Yeah, but
She's talking a lot of shit.
I don't know that anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well.
See, the thing is, here's what gets me: is it makes a lot of sense to have that because it's a one-woman show. This story, basically.
Yeah, it is.
But however, at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that could have been literally in her head, just like with a little echo effect of her, like whenever she's trying to time it and stuff, that could have been in her head.
She didn't need to literally
No,
say that out loud.
but when
That's
she's
true.
like arguing with her husband who's not there, that could be said out loud because I think we all say stupid shit in our cars
Definitely when we're alone.
I practice accents sometimes, and I'm like, man, I'm glad no one's here.
So, yeah, she's got 7 minutes to go 20 miles. She's taken off. She's trying to make it. She lights a cigarette and then drops the cigarette
Yeah.
and loses control of her car trying to get the cigarette and hits a hitchhiker. She stops her car, gets out, looks at the hitchhiker. This dude is dead. Like, he's
Absolutely.
dead.
She didn't hit him that bad. I gotta say that stuntman had an easy day because he literally just did one roll off the hood, and then when you see his corpse, he's fucking mangled. And I'm like, that didn't happen. Did he get hit again from the other lane? And we just didn't see
I
it?
noticed that.
That happened
too. I
before
was
she
like,
got
she
there.
didn't hit him like
No,
that. I was
she
like,
didn't
no.
even hit him that bad.
Yeah, I was like, no, all of a sudden he's fucking twisted around.
Yeah.
and
It's
he's,
fucked up.
She pretzeled him, but it didn't even.
yeah, it didn't look
did
that
not
bad
at all.
So she gets out, looks at him. He's mangled. She gets back in her car and takes the fuck off. So as she takes off, a man pulls up on the scene, gets out, is like, oh my God, this guy was hit. A truck driver pulls up. The truck driver is Stephen King,
Yes.
who says my second favorite line in the whole movie. Hey, buddy, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Which I think we would
So
all
good.
say. I think
Yeah.
we would all say at this moment.
It's funny because that line is so good and so well delivered that it overshadows his next line that I always forget. And then when I rewatch this movie, I'm like, it's a little weird.
It looks like a black fella, huh?
Yeah.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
what the
he
fuck?
sees the hitchhiker and he's like, looks like a black guy, huh? And then it's like,
Yeah,
I
that
guess.
was,
I
I
mean,
was
I
like,
don't,
what?
He's
I don't know what
dead.
that has to do with anything, but
So the truck driver starts lighting flares. More people pull up. Like, this is a thing. This guy's dead. People have seen him. So Mrs. Lansing is, again, talking to herself, trying to rationalize the situation, basically saying, can you live with this? She kind of makes it palatable for herself by saying, maybe he wasn't even dead. Like, you don't know, you know?
Right.
So she stops, looks behind her for some reason, and this dude is coming after her. The hitchhiker, still mangled, still bloody, still holding his sign.
Now, is this the point where she says, you're seeing things, bitch?
Yes, because she looks away, looks back, and he's gone, and that's when she hits herself with the, you're seeing things, bitch.
No, that was not the character that I thought she was to be saying shit like that to herself.
Well.
I saw her pep talks from before. She didn't call
Yeah, it
herself a
didn't
bitch.
happen like that.
These are dire circumstances.
Oh, yeah, apparently.
Right now. So after she convinces herself that she was seeing things, the hitchhiker knocks on her window. She wasn't seeing things. In an award caliber act of pettiness and sass, the hitchhiker says, thanks for the ride, lady. Which is my number one favorite line of
But
this
she
movie.
technically didn't give him a ride. What
Well,
ride
I guess
did she
because-
That's
give
the
him?
pettiness and sass.
Because
hey,
he was-
bitch, thanks.
Yeah,
He was asking
but-
for a ride.
Yeah,
So
but-
But
thanks.
he didn't ask her for a ride. She
He was
didn't
asking
even
anybody
stop.
for a
he was a
ride.
hitchhiker.
But she didn't stop though.
But she
so-
did, well, and technically,
Actually, no,
when,
she didn't stop. That's
Yeah,
well,
see, she just hit him and was like, "Ah, fuck you."
I think if we're going to go into technicalities, his short ride on her hood.
counted as a
Counted.
ride.
Yeah, wow.
Best part of the movie for me. Thanks for the ride, lady.
Well, no,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Which he continues to repeat
It becomes a catchphrase.
throughout the cat and mouse, which is basically this episode. I mean, we can do the play-by-play of he's on her car, now he's off. Now she's,
with varying degrees of sarcasm, and at one point he's like, "Hey,
hey.
like he wants to make sure he has
Let
her
me get your
attention,
attention.
as if he doesn't have it already. You're a goddamn ghoul." Hey, thanks for the ride,
Thanks
lady.
for the ride, lady. So they go back and forth. He's on the car. She shakes him off. He's reaching at her through her sunroof. She shakes him off. She goes into the...
I do want to point out, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No.
She's closing the sunroof on his fingers,
On
and
his hands.
he's yes. You're a ghost or a goblin. How do you feel pain? How is this whole time
The
you're?
rules-
It's like what?
The rules are
happened?
hazy.
The rules have not been established.
Well, I guess right. It was
But
in the
that's-
'80s. Ghosts didn't know what
No,
was
yeah.
happening then.
I thought the exact same thing because, like, anytime anything happened where he got hurt, he feels it.
He did. No,
And I'm
he
like,
did. That's why
why?
I was wondering that myself. I was
No,
like,
yeah,
you're-
she's shooting him. He's,
Is it an
Yeah,
act?
it's like, what?
Like, he's like, I wanted to think that
Right,
she's
right.
doing better than she's doing.
Well, they give you a little
he
something.
pities her. So she goes into the woods, I guess, to try to knock him off of the car. She launches him off onto a tree and just keeps backing up and hitting the tree, backing up and hitting the tree.
Yeah, she fucked
Right.
that dude up.
Oh, it was
She
pretty bad.
fucks herself up as well because
Right,
she knocks
right, right.
herself out. So she wakes up. Somehow everything is covered in snow.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't quite get that
okay,
either.
yeah.
And the hitchhiker is gone. So again, she's telling herself, oh, like that was all in your head, you know.
Right.
But she's still got to get home. She has to beat her husband home. So her car is completely mangled and there's still blood on the front of the car.
Now, she doesn't see the hitchhiker again at this point on
Right.
the road.
Right.
I do want to point out that in the most extreme act of pettiness, before the tree ramming happens back and forth, he has somehow found the time to create another sign.
Yes.
Because his original...
Yes, his sign.
His original
thank you
sign.
for saying that.
Yes, his
'cause I was
original-
going to say that too. I was
It
like,
said
what the
Dover. He was trying to get to Dover, and then the new sign says, "You killed me."
I was. Where the fuck did he find
he-
another
and-
cardboard and some paint?
And he's he's on her hood, and she's like
In
driving.
case we're unclear.
And he's like, he waves like to get her attention again, and then he's like, shows her the sign.
Right,
He's like,
check
if you
it
didn't
out,
know,
right.
if you forgot,
Right. I know you can't hear me.
but
Yeah,
you
you
killed me.
The best.
You killed me.
Just the best.
But at this point, he's gone,
Correct.
and she's on her way home.
She wakes up, he's gone, car's still mangled, blood still on the car. She drives home.
That car is fucked
Oh,
up.
The
to
car
be
is
making
it was
it
a
fucked
nice
up.
Yeah.
Mercedes. I don't know how. Yeah, I've gotten
to
into a
make
car
it
accident.
home, yeah,
We're not
that-
driving like with it like that
God,
anywhere.
no.
Well, she makes it home. Of course, she's late, but her husband isn't there. So she's like, wow, all this, and he's not even here. So she pulls into her garage, and the hitchhiker crawls out from underneath her car. He is featureless at this point.
He's just
His
a bloody skeleton.
face is pulp with
Right.
2 eyes sticking out and a mouth. Still telling her,
Still very appreciative.
thanks for the ride.
Right. He starts licking her or
Yeah,
some shit.
yeah.
doesn't he?
But and as he's licking, biting, whatever's happening, he finally gets her. And my third favorite line in this film,
Yes.
she asks him, "How much do you want? 50?"
She starts low.
She paid the gentleman at the beginning of the story 3 times that
Yeah,
amount.
the
Wait.
gigolo.
But
And
did the
he
ghoul?
was not a ghoul suckling on her
No.
face.
But did the ghoul give her any orgasms? I mean, if we're paying,
Not that I know of.
right? If we're paying
gave
here
her
for
6.
yeah.
But 50, it's a low ball offer.
Right.
I want to see the alternate version of this film where they haggle.
Right.
He's like, you know what? This is at least 100.
Can we? Yeah, it's been a long day. It's been
Look
a
at
long
my
night.
face.
Yeah.
Refer to
You
the
see
sign.
what you did to my
killed
face,
me.
Charlie Murphy? Yeah.
That's right.
So we cut here, and then it goes to Mr. Lansing finally coming home, finding Annie in the car with the hitchhiker sign draped over her. She's dead.
Yeah.
So what?
About that?
Yeah. So what killed her exactly? What the fuck was it that? I mean,
This has to be a supernatural situation because that entire group of people was with the physical body of the hitchhiker.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I do want to ask, what was the condition of the car when the husband got home?
I think it was still
Was it
wrecked.
still
wasn't
busted?
It?
So-
Right. But when the garage door closed, I guess the car was still
It had
running.
exhaust. So when
It
he
did.
opened the garage, exhaust came out.
It's almost like it was guilt of having hit him. She imagined the whole
Maybe.
thing.
Maybe.
And then
That
she
makes the
goes
story
home,
even better.
and
Yeah,
then she,
it does.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's accidentally or intentionally commit suicide.
That makes it even better.
That actually, I like that
it
story
makes
better.
sense, but I mean,
But goddamn, what a ride.
yeah, no, yeah.
What a snarky,
No, yeah.
petty ride that this
He's
one
the
takes us on.
hitchhiker. The hitchhiker is a hero of
He
pettiness.
just wanted a ride.
He did.
That was it.
He did.
But and I think that's what, to me, like, I know how bad the movie is, and it's different from the first one, but think about all the lines you remember
Oh,
from this
yeah.
movie. Think
True.
about all the one-liners, all the things you
True.
remember what's happening. You know what I mean? Like, I do like the first movie, but I think the second movie just has more. There's just more things that I
It's
remember
more
because
ridiculous.
It is
right,
more
right,
ridiculous.
I'll
because
give you
of
that
the
for
shit
sure.
like that.
Yeah.
They leaned into one side more than the
to
other.
the silliness.
Yeah.
Right,
For
no,
sure.
yeah, they
yeah.
did.
All right. So after the hitchhiker, we're back to the frame story.
Hooray.
Right.
We're still animated. The creep bids us goodbye, but we see Billy again. He's still being chased. Good.
The creep is like, oh, I forgot about Billy. And I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah, right.
Don't worry about it.
We don't care about
I don't
We
give
don't
a
need
shit.
any
It's fine. Don't worry
closure.
about it. Just go to roll credits. Roll credits.
Right. Yeah, he'll be fine.
Billy's still being chased by the bullies. He leads them into a fence marked private property, which is owned by Gornick Realty.
Oh, so the director threw his
yeah.
own name in there.
Thought that was cute. So
I probably would have done the same thing. I
Yeah.
can't hold it
for
against
sure.
him.
So Billy has led them to, I guess the bulb that he was buying in this film was not his first. There's a gang
I'm guessing,
of
yeah.
I guess.
full-grown, gigantic Venus flytraps.
Yeah, those things are fucking huge, yeah.
That proceed to eat all the bullies. Billy's exempt. I guess he
Yeah.
is their mother or something.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, he planted them. And
I guess. So Billy is very pleased and ends it with, they eat meat.
It's
Yes,
we
that-
didn't
yeah.
catch that, Billy.
Right, you
I'm
didn't,
so
right?
glad you've explained
Didn't you
it.
say that shit before already? It's
Yeah.
like,
One thing I didn't notice this until after, and I thought about it, and I know it's not an especially uncommon name, but the kid in the first Creepshow was also named Billy.
He was.
Oh, wow, really?
Is this supposed to be the same kid?
It's not.
Because
that's
it's clearly
the-
not.
it's
And he's on the
not,
cover
it's
of the
not.
And
comic.
he was drawn on the cover of the comic, and they
Yeah,
did not
they
look
did.
the same.
Why
Yeah.
don't you give the kid a different name?
Laziness.
Absolute laziness.
Yeah, that wasn't.
Finally, we're back to live action. The piss poor animation is done, and the creep is hanging out of his comic book truck
I guess
and
whatever. It
laughing
is.
his ass off, and he's just throwing issues of
Yeah,
Creepshow
it's-
into the
who's,
street.
Yeah.
who's gonna pick these up out in the middle of nowhere? Why would
and-
you waste that?
You've got him on the back of the truck throwing out those comic books, and he is definitely wasting those
Yeah,
books.
why would you do
But
that?
nobody's going to drive by and be like, ooh, what's this? But the guy driving the truck is all over the
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
road. It's
Yeah.
like, the creep's like, hey, chill out. I'm back here throwing comics
Probably
away.
got his fucking dragon driving it or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, I am a gator. I don't know what the punch.
right,
I don't know
right.
what I'm
Why'd
doing.
you make me do this
Yeah.
shit?
Shouldn't even have me in here. So he's laughing, he's tossing the comic books, cue the silly end music, and
we hold on that shot too long.
Yes,
A
it
long
is. It is a
time.
little. It's a little.
so do we have any thoughts? I know you have some
I have a lot of
on the
thoughts.
frame story.
I'm telling you right now, the creep laughing maniacally at the end, I was like, well, at least he had fun.
Well,
because
but that's all that matters.
At least
Yeah.
someone gets
Yeah.
something out of this.
Because when you compare the frame stories, and you know what? Forget about the original Creepshow. Think about the frame stories of any of your favorite horror anthologies. This one is at the bottom.
Yeah, the
is.
frame story is pretty weak on this one. It is.
Yeah.
I won't lie on that one. Like I said, but to me, it's the stories to me that stand
Okay.
out. It's not the frame story because when I did watch it, I will agree that it was pretty shitty. It was just kind of not. There was nothing there.
No.
The one thing that I will give this frame story is I like frame stories that keep coming in between
Right,
the
right.
stories, like Tales from the Dark Side.
Yes, that is
I
a great
like
point.
that.
That is a great
Okay,
point.
we told this story. Now what's going on here? Okay, now let's tell another story and come back to here. That's the one thing that I will say that they did that I appreciate. Was the frame story good? No.
But
But we got a lot of it.
I like the idea of the creep talking. He looked like shit.
He did.
Right.
But imagine if the original Creepshow had anchored it with that skeletal looking creep and he
Yeah.
actually introduced the
Oh,
stories. That would have been pretty
Yeah.
cool. So that is one thing that they did, even though it was done
That
very
would have been
poorly.
really cool. Yeah,
they improved.
the execution was bad, but I do like that.
I like that.
I do.
I like having a host.
Yeah.
Although I did not like, it's time for this boogeyman to boogie.
Yeah, I
It's like,
did
shut
not.
the
Yeah,
fuck
I
up.
was like, stop that. Stop
Shut
that.
the fuck up.
Right? Don't talk no more.
Yeah, don't- yeah.
talk.
I take back
Stop
everything
that.
I
Yeah,
said.
No.
Okay, so what was your favorite one?
I think just, and you're right, just because of the representation, I do like the Chief Woodenhead.
Fair.
But I mean, I do. The raft too was silly, but it was okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was, and the hitchhiker, same thing. I mean, but yeah, Chief Woodenhead would probably be, I guess, my
That's your
favorite
top?
one. Yeah.
What about you, T?
I think I gotta go with the Hitchhiker. The entertainment value is pretty high with the Hitchhiker. Chief Woodenhead is great. I like that.
But I do see the hitchhiker is good too.
Yeah.
It is good, and there's a lot more dialogue, and there's a lot more stuff going on,
Yes.
and story drawn out as to where the Chief Woodenhead is just happens one thing right after the other, and then it's over.
Yeah.
This one,
yeah.
at least, when she's driving, she's explaining what's going on. You obviously get the sense, oh, well, she's unhappy with her marriage, so she's paying for sex. She's this and that. You know what I mean? That
There is some
things go
character.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little character development there.
And maybe, I don't know if it's just me or what, but Randy ruins the raft.
Yeah.
So I
that-
can't
No,
pick
he
it.
that is
absolutely
I can't pick it.
does.
No, yeah.
That goes down as my least favorite. It has to.
I wouldn't have picked it anyway because it's the fucking hitchhiker all day.
Yeah,
All day. Thanks for the
I'm just-
ride, lady. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but how is he still getting hurt if he's a ghost?
don't
We'll
worry about
worry
it.
about that later.
Don't fucking worry about it.
What are you talking about? He's
Yeah.
a zombie. You can't get hurt again. What do you just be glad you can still talk? Fucking,
Be glad. Count your blessings.
Yeah, most zombies are just
Yeah.
they don't do nothing and shuffle along. You're able to grab shit and you're climbing onto cars. And,
So the raft is your least favorite as well.
Absolutely. By far, my least favorite.
And it sucks because the effects in the raft are the
Yeah.
best.
They're the
No,
best in the
yeah.
whole movie. They look better than the hitchhiker.
Absolutely.
But it is what it is.
yeah.
Damn it, Randy.
God damn it,
Right.
Randy. So on a scale from 1 to 10 everlasting car batteries, I give Creepshow 2 6 out of 10 everlasting car batteries. What about you, John Paul?
Just because I like it a little more, I'll
Mine
give
was
it a,
heavily influenced by nostalgia.
Fair.
Okay. I want to say 7, but watching it now that I'm a little older, I'll give it a 6.5. Just because I've watched this one more than I have the first one. That's what the 0.5
That's
comes
fair,
in.
but I give it a 6 knowing that it's not a 6. T?
I gotta be honest, man. Taking into account the frame story, taking into account the raft, I think I'm being very generous when I give Creepshow 2 5 out of 10 everlasting car batteries.
You're not wrong.
No, yeah. Yeah, the battery lasted a little too long.
On
Gotta
that
take
one,
a
yeah.
point off for
Yeah.
that.
Agreed.
So then I'll go at 6 then. We'll go ahead and take
We'll
the half a
split
point
the
off
difference.
for that.
Very
yeah.
good.
So that's all from us here at Pod Mortem. What would you rate Creepshow 2 and what should we watch next? Let us know on Twitter at @ThePodMortem and be sure to follow us at Blood and Smoke, at RealStreeter84, and at TravisMWH. Join us next week when we'll be dissecting the 1973 classic The Exorcist. And remember, don't cheap out when you're bribing an undead hitchhiker. Until next time.